Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. I just read that there is a recent Gallop poll that was conducted that states that the moral values of America is at an all-time low. That people's sense of right and wrong in modern America is at an all-time high. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read a portion of an article that I read from Breitbart, just a portion of it, and then I'm going to periodically give you my commentary, but I'm going to also give you my belief of where this idea of low moral values came from. When did it start? Because at one point in America generally had high moral values. Understanding the concept between right and wrong, they weren't perfect, but generally speaking, America had a high sense of moral values. But something happened that broke that moral value down, that moral value concept down. What caused that to happen? I'm going to get into that, but let's get right into this article. And it says, it begins with, a record percentage of Americans rate U.S. moral values as, quote, poor, a Gallop poll released on Wednesday found. Gallop has been tracking Americans' view of U.S. morals for the past 2 decades and noted that while negative views have been the norm, the current 50% poor rating is the highest on record by 1 percentage point. 37% of those polled say U.S. morals are only fair. Only 1% say the state of moral values is excellent. Only 1%. And 12% say good. Now, I don't know who it is to say that it's excellent. According to the poll report, these findings from Gallup's May 2022 values and belief polls are generally in line with perceptions since 2017, except for a slight improvement in view in 2020 when Donald Trump was running for re-election. On average, since 2002, 47% of U.S. adults have rated moral values in the U.S. as poor, 38% as fair, and 18% as excellent or good. Gallup credits Republicans, quote, increasingly negative assessment of the country's moral values is mostly responsible for the record high rating. Republicans' poor rating of moral values spiked after former President Donald Trump left office and is at its highest, 72%, since Gallup began polling on this issue. And I'm going to stop right there. You guys can read the rest of that in the link to the article. I linked to the article in the description box below, and you guys can read the rest of that on your own free time. You kind of get the gist of what's going on here. But I decided that I want to talk about this because there is a very low sense of moral values in our country today. And according to the Gallop poll, it's at an all-time high, higher than it's ever been in American history, I would guess, or at least during the particular eras, particular sections of the year. But how did we get here? How did America get to the point where you can get killed? Somebody can shoot you just at the drop of the hat. The moral values in marriage has been broken down. People don't honor marriage anymore. People don't understand the concepts of right or wrong anymore. People don't, it's just no one is sure of what's right. No one is sure of what's wrong anymore. Certain things you say is right. People don't know, certain things you say is right is right. Certain things you say is wrong. That's done away with now. How did we get here? Now, I'm going to give you my assessment and my opinion based on my studies. And I think I mentioned this to some extent in my previous videos, particularly my earliest videos when I first started my YouTube channel. And I'm going to go there because I believe that this is one of the factions. This is one of the causes. This is one of the root causes. That when the Frankfurt School of Marxism professors infiltrated America in the 1930s, they had certain worldviews. Their goals when they infiltrated America was to attack certain institutions. In order to get America to accept the worldviews of communism, they had to break down certain institutions in the country a little bit at a time over the course of years in order to get them to believe and embrace the utopia of communism. So how did they do this? One of the things they attacked was patriotism and nationalism, people's love for their country. The other institution they attacked was the family, the father and the mother and the children. The other institution they attacked was religion, Christian religion in particular in America. The other belief system or worldview they attacked was moral values, right and wrong. This was done in the school systems. It was done in movies. It was done in sitcoms. These Marxist school professors took over everything, but not just professors, but Marxist school communist infiltrators in general began to infiltrate all the different institutions in our country, beginning in the 1930s and then all the way through the 1960s. It was the 1960s countercultural revolution, the so-called countercultural revolution, when all of this stuff blew up, for lack of a better word. Everything seemed to be flipped over, and America took a complete change from its mostly conservative worldview prior to that to a splintered worldview of there's no such thing as right or wrong. The concepts of right or wrong were replaced by these communist and Marxist infiltrators with what is known as moral relativism. Moral relativism is the idea that right and wrong is no longer concrete, that there's no concrete right or wrong, that there's no absolute right or wrong. To put it another way, moral relativism teaches that what's right is based on and what's wrong is based on your circumstances. So if your circumstances dictates to you that you need to steal, it's the right thing to do. You have to survive. So go ahead and steal. If your circumstances dictates to you commit adultery, go ahead and commit adultery. Your wife or your husband was cheating on you. They're not treating you right. So you have a right to commit adultery. That whole concept, according to moral relativism, is binding. It's repressive. You have the right to break free. This is what these Marxists and communist infiltrators literally taught, and that's what they're teaching today. So part of the reason why there are such low moral value concepts in our country today is in part due to what I just mentioned. These Marxist professors that infiltrated our country and the communist infiltrators in the 1960s, so-called, what was it? What did I just say? Countercultural revolution. The so-called countercultural revolution. Was it really a counterculture? Did a bunch of young people just wake up one morning and say, you know what? I need to resist moral values. You know what? I need to come against the government. I need to come against my parents. What the things my parents was teaching was wrong. No. They were brainwashed and conditioned to hate the teachings of their parents, to hate the teachings of the establishment. True, the establishment and the parents weren't perfect. But let's face it, prior to the 1960s, things were bad, but they weren't as bad as they are now. All hell broke loose after the 1960s, and you all know that. We all know that. So this in part, this level of low moral value started in the 1930s and became ultra pumped up in the 1960s. Countercultural revolution. And so what we are seeing is the effects of this sense of low morality. People don't believe in right or wrong anymore. That's all by design. See, in order for the communist infiltrators to control us, they have to break down our sense of right and wrong. If you no longer believe what is right and believe certain things are right and believe certain things are wrong, it's easier to manipulate you with propaganda. Because after all, you don't believe certain things are right and you don't believe certain things are wrong. It's easy to manipulate you. It's easy to control you. And that's why so many of our young people don't know which direction to go. They can't define right or wrong. Why? Because the parents not able to do it. Because the parents have the family structure has been attacked and broken down and deconstructed. So there's no longer any sense or teaching of right and wrong in the family. Therefore, the young people don't have a sense of right or wrong. So they go to the schools where the Marxist professors are teaching them transgenderism and critical race theory and all these other immoral things, pumping their heads full of poison, then we wonder why they're going around breaking into stores and getting away with it. Why should they're a reflection of our society? So this is what I believe in part is the reason why there are such low morals among the people today. And this Gallop poll only reflects the studies that I have been doing and are seeing and am seeing basically in the society. Hopefully we can return to a sense of moral values by getting the right people in office. But that's going to be a challenge, because even if we get the right people in office who have a sense of right and wrong, a low sense of moral values is entrenched in the people. However, the culture, just because this culture war is the way it is, doesn't mean that we can't get people in office on a local, state, and federal level that can say, hey, certain things are wrong and certain things are right. We're not going to allow this. We still need to get those kind of people in office, because just because you can't make people do right, but you can certainly put laws in place that will restrain bad behavior. And right now, we have politicians, progressive liberals in positions of authority that create policies and legislation and ordinances that make it easy for the dark side of human nature to be manifest. That's my view on it. What do you guys think about this? Leave your comments in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button. Share this video and subscribe. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative with Ryan Boland.